Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the overview of the reproduction and sexual development. These are the slides from my professor. Her name is Dr. Bearcat. Dr. Bearcat, okay, I'm just trying to do this, reteach this for my own sake. Okay, like I'm not trying to steal your smoke, but this is for me. This is completely free. My channel is not monetized. Me and my 98, because one of you guys unsubscribed. Me and my 98 subscribers are not making money off of this. Um, I'm just here purely to reteach it to myself, purely to reteach it without notes, so that I could like be confident in my abilities in studying. This is a study strategy. Okay, whatever. Enough of that said. Okay, if you want me to take down these videos, let me know. Okay, we're talking about sex and reproduction systems. All right, boom. Let's go. Let's get into this. So, let's summarize general functions of the reproductive system in biological females and males, and explain some aspects in sexual development in the utero and the importance of hormones in this process. I've been learning about this for the last 3 hours about reproductive system, and I'm about to go insane. I went to the library today with a fresh, clear head, and I'm coming out knowing everything about testicles. I'm so glad, so happy, so happy. Okay, so sex versus gender, functions of reproductive system, and masculinization, defeminization in utero. Okay, boom. On the image on the right, we have like clownfish. These things are kind of fire, bro. They're called hermaphroditic, meaning that at certain times of the year they're male, and sometimes of the year they're like, nah, I'm gonna be female. So then they switch up, but kind of fire. Okay, sex versus gender. So sex. Here I'm talking about sex is different from gender in that sex is biologically determined. They're based on chromosomes. Okay, so when I'm talking about rats, and I'm talking about a male rat, I'm talking they're male because of their sexual organs. Okay, sex can be applied across males, humans, animals, whatever. They specifically biologically determining sex, right? They typically binary, so it can be male, female, but they can be there's a spectrum, of course. It can be intersex as well, so but typically binary. However, it can range on a spectrum. So gender is exclusively to humans. It's complex. It's based on socials, cultures, environmentals. Can differ over time. This is what leads to like pronouns like he, him, her, they, them, Zer, zims, and I don't know. And exists on a continuum, right? So it's unique to humans. Um, Depends on like what they feel, right? So next one, okay, gametes, chromosomes, and more defined sexual development. So there are many aspects of sexual development that can be hardwired, right? Others that are dependent on one's environment. So I'm going to talk about two different types of development. So one is organizational changes, and one is activational changes. Let me see if I can make this better. Aha. Let's go. Okay, so over here we have organizational changes. Oh, over here, organizational changes. So these, my friends, these are happening before birth. So this is in the uterus. This is happening during fertilization. This is happening during conception. So one sexual development that happens in organizational, so before birth, includes specific set of chromosomes, androgen exposure in utero. So so for specifics, I wrote some notes down here. So for specific set of chromosomes, we have like meiosis already produces gametes. So during fertilization, and when the two gametes, is that right? I don't know. The two gametes, when they fertilize together, that produces gametes, right? And so sperm for male, eggs in female. But this is not sufficient to determine masculinization or feminization in sexual development. So this is kind of like changes that are happening that are hardwired before birth. All right, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, so two X chromosomes coming together. This is before birth. That's gonna be a female. Y chromosome. When X and Y chromosome come together, those are gonna be a male. Androgen exposure in utero. So these are androgen means male, I think, And so this just means male sex hormones. Androgen exposure means male sex hormones. So testosterone is most common for androgen exposure, but there are other hormones that exist that also are male sex hormones, but testosterone is the most common one. So these androgen exposure, they promote masculinization. And what that means is that the Y chromosome, as you guys know, is the chromosome that is for male development. And so these androgen exposure, these male sex hormones, are going to be working with the Y chromosome for development of the male sex organs. And also development of the primary sex organs. So over here, gonads, what are gonads? That's Claude. What are gonads? So the sex organs that are produced, the testicles in males and ovaries in females. So they produce, they're just gonna produce sex cells and sex hormones. So here you have testes in male and then ovaries in female. So these are all happening before birth. So what's cool right now is that after birth, these are activational changes. So these typically happen after birth, and they include production of sex hormones and then the developmental characteristic of secondary sex characteristics at around puberty. So when I'm talking about activational changes, I'm thinking about puberty. So these happen kind of a long time after for humans. So think of like puberty age. This kind of like happens organizational change at birth, and then puberty happens. So these happen after birth. So at puberty, right, hormones are going to activate for puberty. There's going to be increased production of sex hormones, and there's going to be release of the HPG, which is activated. And so HPG is largely silent before puberty, but it's still like it increases in concentration in secretion during puberty. Developmental secondary sex characteristics at puberty. So this is like for females, like wider hips and developmental breasts, and then for males, testosterone. This is going to be deeper voice and facial hair. Right, estrogen, progesterone, females, and then testosterone. Okay, moving on. Okay, so yeah, and look at this graph real quick. So this is that graph over here, but like kind of blown up. Boom. So we have the blue line is for testosterone, the red line is for estrogen. So the first dotted line right here is going to be during birth, and then the second one right here is going to be for puberty. So the first one right here, we have the androgen receptors. They're going to be firing exposure in the utero. So that's why you see male sex hormones. That's why you see this big line in birth for males for testosterone, and not really a lot for estrogen. So the androgen exposure is going to be making developmental male sex hormones already in the uterus before birth. And then here you have like puberty right here. This is going to be the increase in testosterone, and then also increase in estrogen for males and for males for testosterone, females can be estrogen. And then you kind of have like this like wave function right here, and this is like for the first menstrual period, which is menarche, and also the menstrual cycle, which is why it's a cycle up and down until menopause. And that menopause is going to be a decrease in estrogen. So masculinization, defeminization, they happen simultaneously, and they develop the maleness. All right, so moving on. So actually some fun trivia right now. Why do men have nipples? So if someone asks you this in 5 minutes, now you'll be able to explain to them why men have nipples. So nipples form around week 4, so of embryonic development. So by week 4 of the baby developing in the uterus. Oh yeah, do babies have a... sorry, in the womb, I'm pretty sure. I want to be careful with my wording here. Yes, okay, yeah, they do. Yeah, I was right. I was right. So as baby's developing in the uterus, by week 4, nipples are already forming. This is like default, right? And there's already some development of mammary tissue. So, however, by week 7, right here, there's gonna be an SRY gene. Now the SRY gene is pretty important. And this is over here. SRY gene is the sex determining region of the Y chromosome. Sex determining region of the Y chromosome. So this is going to be initiating the process of masculinization and defeminization for males. And that's happened after the development of nipples. So by week 7, there's going to be two things happening. One over here is Leydig cells. This is going to be a promotion of masculinization, right? And then another one over here is going to be the Sertoli cells. This is going to be defeminization. So these two things are separate, and these are independent of each other. Like, one doesn't control the other. So it's going to be a masculinization, Leydig cells, defeminization, Sertoli cells. So masculinization just kind of increases the male hormones, as well as male reproductive organs. And defeminization is going to put a halt to the Mullerian ducts. So SRY gene is a gene. So at week 7, it's going to be transcribed and then it's going to be activated. So the reason why males have nipples is because they are made before the sex determining gene is produced. So kind of in a way, like males and females are defaulted, inclining towards becoming females initially, and then SRY gene goes boom, stop. Let me make some more masculine. Let me make this baby masculine. I think. I don't know what I'm saying. So yeah, masculinization is going to be promote to stop the production of mammary glands, but it's kind of already too late because the nipples are already there. And nipples already developed first, but they're not going to be removed. Alright, cool. So SRY gene, a little bit more into this. This is a very small gene. So one of the few genes on the Y chromosome, and then arrow, boom, down. It's going to make the testes a forming determining factor of the SRY protein. So yes, the gene is going to make the protein. The protein is going to activate the maturation of testes. And so this maturation of protein is going to make 2 different cells. Leydig cells, which is going to make testosterone. Sertoli cells is going to make the anti-Mullerian hormone. So Mullerian duct is what's the duct for females, and Leydig cells is for Wolffian ducts. Kind of funny, male, wolf, alpha wolf. I thought that was really funny. Right, so testosterone is already made in the utero, but it kind of ramps up. Okay, so Mullerian ducts are an earlier version of the female reproductive system. So the anti says don't develop any of that ovaries in the uterus. So it stops the Mullerian and just leaves the Wolffian. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the overview of the reproductive system. I've been looking at this and learning about this for the last 2 hours, so I'm kind of fried at the moment. So 2 most important functions of the reproductive system for males and females are to produce gametes, spermatozoa for males, ova for females, and to produce sex hormones, testosterone in males, estrogen, progesterone in females. You'll sometimes see estradiol, which is another form for females. And it doesn't say for testosterone, males only have testosterone, so males also have estrogen, and females also produce testosterone as well. But females produce it in the adrenal gland because they don't have male reproductive organs. So comparative anatomy, so just looking at different animals and stuff like that. So some organisms are capable for asexual reproduction, that still rely on 1 or more primary sex organs. So I was talking about this earlier, the goldfish right here, which kind of fire. They're called hermaphroditic. So they have both male and female reproductive organs at the same time or different times. So it's like clownfish. You'll see it in flowers as well. So they have like eggs. Like they have like, what are they called? Yeah, they have pollen. Carbonate, yeah, the carpel and the stamen. They have pollen and they can like like pollinate with each other. Parthenogenic species are those capable of engaging in asexual reproduction involving unfertilized eggs. So kind of fire. I don't know this at all, but like these lizards are called like Mexican whiptail lizards, nicknamed like lesbian lizards. So their population is entirely female, and then their offspring hatch from unfertilized eggs. That's so cool. Okay, so talking about more about the Wolffian and Mullerian ducks. Wolffian is for male. Think of like alpha wolf, like ah. And Mullerian is for female. So the Wolffian ducks are going to be corresponding to the male reproductive system. It will mature if the SRY gene is activated. Number one is SRY gene activated. 2, testes determining factor is there. And 3, maturation of testes. And 4, the testosterone, productive testosterone. The TDF is the protein. So gene, protein, maturation testes, and the production of testosterone. Mullerian ducts correspond to the female reproductive system. And they will mature in the absence of SRY gene. They will gradually disappear with the defeminization when levels of Mullerian inhibiting substance increase. So if the SRY gene is not there, basically, then it will default to female. So everyone's gonna be female, and then SRY gene comes in, boom, now we're in a male. Okay, so here we have a diagram over here. So we have an undifferentiated system. So we have Wolffian ducks as well as Mullerian ducks as well. They're both going to be present, and then boom, SRY gene, and now for the male developing system, we have the release of the Mullerian inhibiting substance. So the TDF is going to increase the TDF is going to increase the testosterone and maturation of testes. It's going to go from gonads to testes. However, Mullerian inhibiting substance is going to take away the Mullerian duct. That's why you see purple duct here and no purple duct here. And now for C, you have the masculinization. So A is going to be masculinization, B is going to be defeminization. So masculinization is going to be developmental of the gonads to testes. Defeminization is going to be inhibiting, so Mullerian duct, no more Mullerian duct. And now you have the developed system over here. We have testes, you also have no more Mullerian duct as well. So yeah, if TDF is going to be produced, it's going to promote the maturation of testes, which is going to produce testosterone. It's kind of like a positive feedback loop where the increase in androgen environment, which is the increase in male hormones, is going to increase the maturation of Wolffian ducts and cycles back and forth. Mullerian ducts, if no SRY gene is present, then there's going to be no protein, no TDF, therefore no testosterone. So then they will develop. So the Mullerian duct will develop by default. Aromatase and estradiol. So it's kind of cool. Testosterone and estrogen are like separated by like one chemical reaction, and so there's kind of like an equilibrium reaction happening. Concentration of androgens, which is male sex hormones, in utero plays a role in masculinization. So right during organizational phase, which is pre-birth, there's gonna be more androgens. More androgens, which is like the hormones. There's gonna be an increase in receptors. The body's like, wait, there's so many hormones going on. I need to bind all these things together. So there's going to be receptors called androgen receptors. They're going to cause genetic changes that lead to masculinization of the brain regions. So yeah, more testosterone, there more androgens, more hormones, therefore more receptors, therefore more binding. It's complicated by the presence of aromatase, which converts testosterone to estradiol. So estradiol also plays a role in masculinization. So estrogen also plays a role for masculinization, which is kind of cool. They're chemically related. So more testosterone, like excess testosterone, there's gonna be more production of estradiol. That's why you see for like bodybuilders, like you'll see like developments of breasts because they're like taking like external like testosterone, as well as like their balls won't work anymore. So cool. Also, like you can see how much testosterone you have by like your fingers ratio. So androgen exposure in the utero. So this is like during the uterus before birth, how much male hormones you were exposed to are kind of determined by like the hand. So you can kind of test this out yourself. So like for the left hand, like if your ring finger is higher than your index finger, then you have high test. So I guess I have high test. Let's go. But like for the left hand, like if your index is higher than your ring finger, then you have low test. Which then again, like my ring finger is also higher, so boom. This is naturally just like a alpha male. Bro, what am I saying? Okay, let's go on to the next slideshow. 30.2. So boom, anatomy of male reproductive system. So now we're talking about male reproductive system. Let's go. How long is this video already? Should I cut this? About 20 minutes. Yeah, I'll cut this.